What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Rikundu coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about what the Falcons should do, what are their expectations for these guys when they're actually going to be picking in this draft, since based off all the moves they have made this offseason. All right, we're going to talk about, should they go offense, should they go defense, should they go best player available? It doesn't even really matter who they actually go out and actually get in this draft. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys right here what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here and talk about these Atlanta Falcons. It's 13 days away from draft night, and we're talking about the number 8 overall pick. Of course, it's more picks in the draft. Don't really make your draft is all about the first pick, but that's the most exciting pick because the guy you apparently picking in that first round is the guy that you expect to come out and contribute early, in his career, right? Potentially could be a Hall of Famer if he play long enough and do well, right? Because based on being drafted in the first round, that's what you expected him to do. So that's what we're talking about. But first of all, the Falcons still making moves. We definitely got to go ahead and talk about Mr. Bud Dupree that the Falcons just actually acquired for a 1-year deal, up to worth about $5 million. I mean, what can we say about this Falcon team? They had actually went out and utilized all their cap space to, in essence, build the defense, right? We're looking at what they did, all these moves they made. The defense is definitely going to be a whole lot better this year. You have to expect that. One thing that Arthur Smith talked about was the trenches, being able to get a pass rush. And look at the guys, Caden Ellis, 7 sacks last year. Calais Campbell, 5 sacks. David Amayada, 5 sacks. Bud Dupree here, 4 sacks, right? So these guys bring in, you add all those sacks up, just the guys brought in, actually 0.5 more sacks than actually what the Falcons have as a team, right? So you expect the sack production to be better. But then if you factor in the secondary piece of that, bringing in, the stud Jesse Bates, that's definitely is going to help us out with the production from the pass rush as well, because we got a better secondary. People don't realize how it works hands in hand. If you can actually get guys, stay covered longer, it make it easier for your pass rush to get home, right? So this is really the vision this Falcon team has, and I'm really thinking about Dean Pease, right? Because I know Dean Pease is like, wow, you wait till I actually, retire to go out and get all these pieces. Can you just imagine what Dean Pease could do with all these pieces? I know Ryan Nielsen is going to do great, but Dean Pease, you got to think about what he worked with his first 2 years. And yes, the Falcons still was in the bottom half in a lot of statistics, but last year, if you just look at how many points they was giving up, they was getting up yards, a lot of yards, but they wasn't getting up a whole lot of points. So he was able to scheme what he was able to scheme with, with the talent we had on the team. So I just could imagine what Dean Pease probably thinking. But Ryan Nielsen, I think him and Arthur Smith is locked in. And bringing those guys in from the Aints is definitely going to help out to help speed up the process in this defense. Bringing in the veteran Calais Campbell, right? I just love the moves they made. But we're talking about Bud Dupree, of course, been in the league 8 years, 46.5 sacks in his career. His best season was in 2019 when he had 11.5 sacks for the Steelers. And 4 forced fumbles. So he actually had a really productive year. Of course, he had a ACL tear, and they brought him back for 1 more year, but then he headed on to Tennessee Titans. Really didn't live up to that contract. So of course he was released from there. Like I said, in the last 2 seasons, only 7 sacks. But we're not expecting Bud Dupree to come in to be like our sack leader. I mean, if Bud Dupree can come in and give her 4 sacks, right? That's good because we want Lorenzo Carter to give us 4 sacks. We want Dave Amiyah to give us his 5 sacks he gave us last year. We want Calais Campbell to give us his 5 sacks, right? Grady Jarrett give us his 5 sacks. Caden Ellis give us his 7, right? We want Armor Katie. We expect Armor Katie to be able to produce more as well. The year jump from year 1 to year 2, D'Angelo Malone. Those are kind of things that we're expecting, right? So we hoping that um, bringing Dupree and just adding to that pass rush. And like I said, you tie in the secondary pieces they added. We talked about Jeff Okuda yesterday. Trading for him. How big of a addition that could possibly be, we don't know. He finally was able to stay healthy and played a pretty much whole season. Had a pretty good and if you look at all these guys we brought in, they're physical too. Both Jeff Okuda, Jesse Bates, all the other guys, they're physical. They're real good run stoppers. Even Mike Hughes that we brought in as well from Detroit, really good in the run as well. So we know this team is going to be physical. And if you just look at the personality of a guy like Ryan Nielsen and Arthur Smith, they want to be really nasty. Let's just put it in those terms. They really want to be nasty, right? So we know when you bring another guy in, all these pieces that were added, they actually had to release some guys. So they actually went and released. They released Javante Mofat on our safeties. So a safety could definitely be, added to the depth in the draft. Quentin Bell just odd man out by adding Bud Dupree, outside linebacker. It was just the numbers game with him. But Quentin Bell actually played 61 snaps on defense last year and 60 snaps on special teams. So he actually contributed to the team a little bit. And I actually liked him, but he definitely wouldn't have had a team. And then Armani Bledsoe, when we signed him to a futures deal earlier this in January, um, defensive lineman, like I said, they just need to add body because you got to remember they almost to that 90-man mark. They're going to bring in a draft class, and then they always like to bring in undrafted guys as well. So I actually expect some more release from this team because you want to bring in at least probably eight undrafted guys as well. Of course, that training day roster gonna be at 90, so that's going to be big to see what they decide to do with some of the releases and things like that based off the players they already added. But in the end, I really like what they did to this team. A lot of mixed veterans. Yes, some guys on 1-year deals, but you also got some guys that's going to be here for a while as well. And you mix those with the young, rookie classes that's coming in. Hopefully, these guys, have the jumps that we hope they to have, like a Armor Ebiketie and like a D'Angelo Malone. You're hoping these guys jump. You hope a guy like Troy Anderson, able to understand and the game slows down for him because he have all the athletic abilities, but being able to read and react faster at that middle linebacker spot, more reps he get, it's going to be good. So you gotta love that. But so with all that being said, the question is, what are the Falcons going to do, right? What direction should they go? What direction should the Falcons actually go in at number 8, right? Um, so should they go on the offensive side of the ball? So we already know this regime record so far in the first 2 drafts. They went offense. They picked, a tight end at number 4, unicorn type, Kyle Pitts. Um, so far, I think Kyle Pitts is a little bit underwear, but I think last year because of the quarterback, he didn't have the kind of year that he wanted to have. He was definitely expecting to have a jump from his first season to his next season. Of course, he almost broke the tight end rookie record. Receiving record for tight ends, in the first season. But like I said, we got a quarterback that just couldn't find him, and get him and connect with him all season long. So, but let's hope that Desmond Ritter can rectify that. The play calling, Arthur Smith be able to utilize with all different weapons he have. Hopefully, you know, Kyle Pitts can live up to that number 4 overall pick, but I don't think he's, not living up to it. I think he can actually, be better. Then you think about Drake London, bringing Drake London last year. Everybody expected him to go defense because of the defensive needs we had, but they went out and got Drake London. So the question is, once again, guys, based off all the moves they have made, should they go offense? And not just a skill position. I mean, we really got to think about it could really they could really be considering an offensive lineman here at number 8. Um, they say don't let them go for needs, but that is a big need for us, offensive lineman. And if I, I don't think, I really don't believe that offensive lineman would be um, a top guy on their board at number 8, because let's be honest, they're going to get a good player at number 8, regardless of how the first 7 picks, you know, show up. They're going to get a good pick. They're going to get a good player, right? So I honestly don't believe that an offensive lineman would be, top of their board, but I could see them going that route. If that's what they decide to do. You can look at guys like Paris Campbell, who actually said he wanted to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Roger Jones, another guy. What's going on, Fox Falcons? What's going on, D. Sloan? So it's, I mean, we don't really know which way they could go. They could go offensive lineman. They could go they can get Skoronski, who said it could definitely fit in as a guard, right? He played tackle in college, but said probably going to end up being guard in the pros, so they can get him. Those offensive linemen they could definitely consider. They can consider another receiver because we do need pass catchers. Highly doubted they would go that route, or we can go to everybody's dream pick. But it seems like a lot of people thinking that the Falcon could consider and bringing in Bijan Robinson's. You guys already seen my video on that. I just don't like the value there. Wouldn't be upset if they was to go get Bijan Robinson, especially with all the moves they have made already. I think this is just a luxury pick for us at number 8, right? So if they would want to go any offensive position, right, I wouldn't be upset. And except, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, except for quarterback. I don't think they should go quarterback, because the top 2 quarterbacks is going to be off the board. I have watched Anthony Richardson play in college, and he's not ready to play. I don't know if he ever get ready. I know he have all the skill sets that you like, big arm, fast, and all that stuff. But the tape that he had in college just does not, show me that. So I would not go that route. Of course, most people saying that he will have to sit anyway. But if you're not going to take the top 2 guys, and you say you believe in Desmond Ridder, quarterback would be the only position, in my opinion, that I would not consider from an offensive standpoint at number 8, right? To go get offensive lineman, not a sexy pick, big need for us. We'll be happy with that because, like I said, we know that number 8 pick is not the draft. It's just the first pick, and we expect that if it is an offensive lineman, we expect him to come in and fill that left guard position, and then we'll have a really good young, really good young solid offensive line for a while here in Atlanta. So I could see them going that route, but like I said, the other pick, they could definitely go Bijan Robinson, because at this point, based off the moves they have made, you would think maybe they really need to start picking the offensive players. So right now, from an offensive standpoint, they didn't bring a lot of guys in free agents. Most of the guys was fringe guys, 1-year deals. Mike Hollins, the, the young receiver that we picked up, Juno Smith, we traded for, right? So they made moves on the offense, but not on the edges. So going in the draft for offensive side of the ball could definitely be an option for these guys. So I'm not sure. Protection for Ridder is key, but we can trade back and take care of that need. Exactly. So that is an option. that 3 that just mentioned, we can actually trade back, and we probably still could get a offensive lineman later on at a at a better value than at number 8. So offensive offensive side of the ball is definitely an option for this Atlanta Falcon team. Not gonna just dismiss it, because they definitely could go offense, especially with all the moves they have made on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, honestly, guys, being a Falcon fans pretty much my whole life, and I have never seen the Falcons make this many transactions in the offseason before. So it's really exciting to see these moves, and just think about um, how this team could potentially be next year. Um, and especially if you look at the first 2 seasons under this regime, with the lack of talent we had, and even though we didn't win, we won 7 games both seasons. It was just some of the most exciting seasons we had in the last 5 or 6 years since the Super Bowl, because they was competitive. Both seasons they didn't win, but it was competitive, and they actually had a chance to make postseason in both years. So, and now just think about all the additions they made and all these moves that the Falcons have made. Just really exciting. I'm just going to be honest with you. I can't wait for the season to start. And just to think, the draft has not even happened yet. So they can actually add more pieces to this team. That's that's just amazing. So the Falcons going offense is number 8. It's definitely an option. And that's the direction they might go in. I think the best thing about this situation here is that nobody has a clue what the Falcons could potentially do, in this draft, because of all the moves they have made. He said definitely giving a young quarterback a chance to survive, and that's the key. I mean, what you just said, like this these moves they have made is really, if they can't be successful, it's really going to be about what Desmond Ritter can do or what he can't do, right? Because they're putting the pieces around him. He's not going to have to go out and be the best player on the field and do spectacular things. He just need to make sure he don't mess up and blow the games, turnovers, fumbles, and things like that. Be good on third down. Make key throws when you need them to. Make the throws when they're there. That's what we need Desmond Ritter to do, and he need to make sure that he has command of the offense. That's what we want to see. That's all he has to do, because the pieces they're putting around Desmond Ritter is really big. So I agree with you. Definitely giving this young quarterback an opportunity to succeed. And if you tackle my team building, which we have talked about that a couple of times here on this channel, um, this is the perfect way to build a team. You build pieces around your young quarterback and let him grow in it, instead of putting the quarterback out there with and have to try to be Superman on each play, right? No offensive line, no running game, no defense. Um, it could just be, and that's probably why the Falcons did not go quarterback 2 years ago. They decided to go tight end, because the quarterback would have been put in a situation where it would have really been hard for him to succeed. So um, definitely could see these guys going offense, but the question is, should they go defense? And you know, they go defense and just keeping up with the theme of the offseason, just adding depth to the defensive side of the ball. And I definitely wouldn't have a problem with that. And more than likely, which is really, if you're looking at the big board or looking at the draft and you're trying to think about how the draft is going to shake out 1 through 7, the best players um, that's on the board probably going to be on the defensive side of the ball, except for probably B. John Robinson. So if you're picking at 8, right, and you're looking at the value of who's going to actually be there and who should be on the Falcons' big board, more than likely it's going to be a defensive player, right? Um, you never know. Jalen Carter could still be there. Um, Tyree Wilson. either one of those cornerbacks, Witherspoon or Gonzalez, could definitely be there. My sleeper guy that's probably people might not have him so high, a guy like Nolan Smith. I be honest with you, I would love Nolan Smith because to me his athletic ability, um, the things that you can do with him because he was able to rush, in college at that size, and he was really effective in the run game. But being able to play him off ball, with his speed and his football smarts, I'm not saying that he's a guy like Michael Parsons, but his athletic ability, you never know. And I could see him in that kind of role. He could play some off ball, and he can also probably rush the passer as well. So, I mean, his just tested off the charts. And if you look at the film, like I said, the way he played the run at his size, um, just 235 pounds, and able to just look how he played the read option. Just go back and look at some of the films where he played the read option. You wasn't you he read it perfectly in the run game. Strong arms with that frame and that bend that he has, it just looks so fluid. So Nolan Smith definitely, if they would make that pick. I know some people already. I think Mel Kiper actually had him going to the Atlanta Falcons at number 8. I would love that pick. Maybe not as high on people boards than other people. Like I said, a guy like Tyree Wilson who could actually come in and kind of similar to what Calais Campbell is, big end, uh, the longest, the reach that's probably and you've seen in the defense end in a long time with his reach, right? He's as strong as well, really good in the run. Probably need to polish on his rush game, right? That's another guy. Jalen Carter is without question, probably one of the best players in this draft. I know everybody talking about his motor and things like that, but yeah, I just believe in the culture that the Falcons have. You get around guys like Grady, Calais Campbell, David Omoyana and stuff. I think they could, make sure he learn good habits with this team. So that's why I'm thinking about a guy like um, Jalen Carter if he's there. Of course, both for the cornerbacks, Devin Witherspoon, probably the more polished of the cornerbacks. Um, you know, didn't give up any receptions at Illinois. And you got to think about it. If you're playing like that at Illinois, because you don't have a whole bunch of guys, that 5 stars probably playing with you, but you stand out like that at the school like that. Um, Really physical as well. Going back to the theme that they've been bringing in this off season. They don't need a corner, but adding another corner because remember Casey Hayward is definitely is on the older end, and we only got Okuda for 1 year on the 1 year rental. We don't know how he's going to pan out. So a guy like Christian Gonzalez have so much upside himself. So most of the players that could be high on people boards, when you get to number 8, probably is going to be the defensive side of the ball. So size, like I said, except for like somebody like Bijan Robinson, he's probably one of the best players in this draft as well. Of course, you know how they value running backs now, but Bijan ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, really explosive back. You can see him picking that, if they really want to go offense. But in my opinion, I really believe that defense is the best route for them to go, because it's going to be the best player on the board at the time. And adding depth, just because we went out and made so many great picks, to add to this defense, I think they have. I mean, this defense is really deep, guys. It's really deep, and now you got guys, on the back fringe of this team. It's really going to be fighting for playing times. Like this, let's look at a guy like Ade Okendeji, right? Um, where does he fit right now? With all these pieces coming in, where does a guy like Okendeji fit? He's going to be tough for him to find minutes. So I like Okendeji. Thought he took a step back last year, but still a good solid player. And you want him to take that jump from year 2 to year 3, right? So, but if you're just looking at this defense and you're trying to find out, minutes for everybody and playing time and things like that, it's a good problem to have. So, but adding another guy to the mix definitely not a bad thing, especially when you got guys here on 1 year deals. like Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, and things like that. So add another pass rusher, definitely. Another cornerback, would not have a problem with that. Um, Other guys you could think about, I know some people think about a guy like Lucas Van Ness. Of course, he's a raw talent, probably have a high upside, but didn't even start at Iowa, but definitely could see them going that route if he's high on their board. I don't know. We have to see. Let's see what it says here. What's good, Ricondo? I think we're making moves to win the division and try to make a run in playoffs. Yeah, man. Like I just said, Wallace, I will not lie to you. Um, I have never seen the Falcons make this many moves before. It's really exciting for me. Like I have never seen them make so many moves, and it's like they're trying to go for this thing. Um, with all the moves for our defense, we stay 8 pick, best player screen. They see, that's what he said. Like we just talked about the offensive side of the ball. He said screams like a guy like B.J. Robertson or the offensive lineman. I agree. Definitely could go that way. Definitely could go that way. Um, uh, can't double grading. Oh man, this. You know what? We need to like make this a slogan or something like that. Can't double grade it no more because defense is improv. I wonder how many times when they were scheming for the Atlanta Falcons, like we're gonna circle Grady Jarrett, and that's who we need to stop because he's gonna wreck the game. Well, now what are their game plan gonna be, right? Because you can't just circle Grady. You still gonna think about Grady, but if you do, you're gonna open up for so many other players. So we should make that a slogan. Can't double Grady anymore. I'm going to say it again. We're not drafting a defensive tackle at the rate pick. Hey, I agree with you, but if Jalen Carter there, man, that's a discussion they might have to have in the room. I'm just saying. That guy heavy hands, man. He's a special player. I mean, everybody talk about Jordan Davis last year. A lot of people wanted Jordan Davis, right? But if you watch the game, Jalen Carter is so much better than Jordan Davis was. So um, he probably won't be there anyway. So we won't have to have that discussion. But if Jalen Carter is there at number 8, they need to think about it. That's what I'm saying. Oakland Deji is still good against. Yes, I agree about Oakland Deji. I'm not. I like Oakland Deji, but where is he at? I mean, we know Calais starting. He said he can give us about 45 snaps a game. So I guess that's where Oakland Deji can come in and spell some of those moments, right? Um, when they go to the rush packages now, we're gonna have Armor Ebiketie out there, Lorenzo Carter, Bud Dupree. We got we got to try to make room for D'Angelo Malone as well. So, um, man, it's like I said, it's a good problem to have because now um, we don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how they decide to play these guys, right? Because you want to put all you guys out there to try to make plays, but everybody can't play. And I mean, and the crazy thing about it is, I really like the way Taquan Graham played last season. Before he got injured, and where does he fit now? And then Eddie Goldman coming back, right? Um, he really solid defensive tackle that's there, a guy in Eddie Goldman. So it's just so much potential for this defense, and then some of these guys that played big minutes for us last year might not even be able to get on the field. So that's some of the things we got to think about. But we never had money to make moves like this, and we see it happening yeah, man. Like I said, right? I think Arthur Blank said it that since he's been an owner, they never had this much money to spend in free agency, and I just think this front office and the way they are actually going about is just brilliant so far, right? We got to see how it plays out, right? Because it just moves and what's on paper, and got to see the coaching how they put it together. But if it go any way how it went the last 2 seasons, um, Yes, we got a new defensive coordinator, but if it goes anyway, if it goes the last 2 seasons, um, it's going to be something special. And we really got to just really think about what Desmond Ritter is going to be able to do, right? If he can, duplicate the things he did the last 4 games, getting better each game, you know, don't turn over the ball, make big plays on third and fourth downs like he did in those games. I think we definitely can really be special. Continue to bolster that run game like we did. We're going to get a running back in the draft no matter what, because we know Caleb Huntley is probably going to be out towards Achilles. It's probably going to be a while before he's back being able to get back on the field. So between Cordell Patterson, who kind of wore down towards last season, um, and then was injured the season. I mean, wore down the first season, and last season was injured. So definitely got to bring another back to go along with Tyler Algier. That's why everybody's saying Bijan Robinson, you know, could be. So we'll have to see. But you just like the choices that they got from the defensive standpoint. So for me, um, at this point, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't care which direction they go. But if defense, in my opinion, is going to be the best values at number 8. The best player is going to be there, and they're going to be on the defense side of the ball, unless they decide to pick a guy like Bijan Robinson. So that's what we got to think about. Um, the same way Terry built a team with the Saints on defense when they made the run to the Super Bowl. We don't let's not give the Saints any props. We're gonna do it better than those guys. uh, Look, they're gonna do it again next season. We're just going. That's crazy, man. You know why? Let's be honest. Why we can do this? Because our quarterback only makes about $3 million. So next season, to your point, we spent almost the whole 66 million that we had in cap space. You know, um, just enough to sign that rookie class and things like that, and we'll almost have just as much, or maybe even more next season, based off where the cap comes out. Um, and because our quarterback only makes about $2 or $3 million, and if he pans out, man, these guys look like you know geniuses because despite where everybody wanted them to go get Lamar Jackson, and pay him all that money, they actually built a team around the quarterback by trying to make the quarterback do everything. So it's just a good strategy. Um, we just got to see it works out. And right now, it's going to be up to young Desmond Ritter. What's going on, Millie Mills? So that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be up to young Desmond Ritter to 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 make these guys look smart, because they did it, in my opinion, the right way. Build a team around him, to make him be successful. Now it's up to him, and based off what we know from him from his first season, it's not going to be because he's not going to put in the work, right? We go back to a guy like Michael Vick, who was just so talented, so explosive, and he admitted that he didn't even look at the playbook, right? We don't have to worry about things like that from Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter is going to work his butt off. He's going to study. He's going to practice. He's going to really, 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 and just got to go out there and try to deliver. But it's not going to be because of effort and things like that. So that's what we can, you know, count on from Desmond Ritter to give it his all. So that's what I like about this decision to go with him. We don't know if it's going to work. I mean, he's only played 4 games, but I really like the decision from what I've seen, and the moves they have made. He don't have to be Superman. Let's just say it like that. Bijan would be outside of the box move because everybody is still thinking drafting a player on defense. Yes, but let's be honest. The Falcons have did out of the box moves the last two drafts, right? I think everybody thought they was going defense last year. Maybe a couple people had them going wide receiver because they did not have a wide receiver one. But even the wide receiver they pick, most people had them getting Garrett Wilson at number 8, and then they actually go out and go get Drake London, which was a really good pick. So you're right, it'll be out of the box, but that's what the Falcons do. They they really really. What's going on, Mac Town Dirty? Uh, Will drafting Bijan at number 8 be a conflict of interest for the 5th round gem from last? So that's a good question, right? Because we talk about a guy like Tyler Algier, and just really, really had a breakout season, right? Over 1,000 yards, about 4.6 yards a carry, I think. Um, he got to remember he didn't play the first 2 games a whole lot because we still had Damon Williams out there, and then Cardell Patterson get most of the touches those first 2 games. So you really think he played the you know last 15, and he's split a lot of carries with Caleb Huntley, Cordell Patterson. So um, I don't see the days where to be a workhorse back, but with a guy like Bijan Robinson, to your point, picking him at number 8, you expect him to be that workhorse for you. Um, but let's just be honest, Bijan Robinson is probably one of the best players in the draft, and the things he can do in the passing game as well. Um, it's no need for Bijan. Let's be honest. Like, if they don't get Bijan, we're not going to be like, oh, we missed out. But just adding him to the mix is just kind of crazy. You think about it. When you add Bijan Robinson, and then you got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson. Oh man, it's just amazing how many weapons that Desmond Ritter would be able to have to expose. And then a guy like Jonnu Smith as well, with the things he can do. Um, it's just crazy to think about the offensive side of the ball being that explosive, and then the things they did on the defense, in all season, man. It's just crazy how special this team could potentially be, right? So making that decision to get Bijan Robinson, um, I think they could be back by committee. I'd be interested to see what they decide to do with Cordell Patterson, snaps in the running back position, because at that point, I think most of the snaps should go to Bijan and Tyler. So that would really have to be something they really need to consider. So it's a good question, but um, you can never have too much talent, man. Let's just be honest about it. You say you want Karunski at 8. Hey, if they go that route, um, that's a good pick, man. We needed somebody left guard, right? We really need that position solidified. At this point, they did not add an offensive lineman, you know, in the off season, right? Right now, you're looking at Matt Hennessy, Jalen Mayfield, Justin Schaefer, you know, competing for that left guard position, right? Probably Hennessy is in the driver's seat right now to be the guy. His last 2 games, he didn't play bad. So maybe they have confidence in Matt Hennessy. Keep in mind, this regime did not draft Matt Hennessy, so you know he's not really their guy. But so if he don't pan out, it's not like they missed out on one of their draft picks or anything like that. So Skoronski at 8 is definitely a guy they could go. Well, I would probably want to have Paris Campbell and then Skoronski, but pretty much everybody's saying Skoronski the best offensive line. But if they're going to get Skoronski, I would think that, like somebody mentioned earlier, is you know going back in the draft, moving out of the 8 spot, and you probably still can get Skoronski later on. So, and I think you might be able to get Bijan later on as well if you really think Bijan is the guy. You can actually move back a couple of spots, probably to like 12 or something like that, 13, and you probably still be able to get Bijan Robinson. So, or Skoronski as well, because like I said, at number 8, more than likely, The top guys is going to be probably on the defensive side of the ball. So that's one of the things that um, that I would think they consider, right? No Bijan would not be a conflict of interest. Algeria would be, yes, yeah, I agree. I think they all be used. I think CP will be used more as a gimmick. I mean, not as a gimmick, but as a just in the slot out the passing game, more stuff he did, earlier in his career, but he's still a dynamic runner as well. He runs high, runs like he running the kickoff return back most of the time. So you just need his crease, and you get CP that crease, and he's gone. So that's one of the things. So guys, so we talked about offense and defense, but if we go back and we harp about what Terry Fontenot has always said when he first got here, and he said best player available. That's what he always preaches, right? And so they're not gonna. He said they're not gonna actually, you know, pick for need, right? Unless the guy that you're picking that you need is at the top of your board, right? So that's what makes me think that, to a lot of guys' opinion, that Bijan could definitely, if he's number top at the top guy at the board, could be the guy, right? But I believe that at number 8, based off how the draft fall out, it's going to be a defensive guy that's going to be at the top of their board, and that's going to be the best player available. So um, now, if you got 3 or 4 guys, that you say could be the best player, and now you could try to, and if one of them is your need, you probably can go that route. But I think best player available is what they're really going to really consider. That's one of the things I think they're going to do. And when the draft shakes out, and when the Falcons up at number 8, we need to see who's out there, and I think that's going to dictate. Because I mean, if you look at what Mel Kiper did on his last mock draft, he had 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks, and if that's the case, that means a lot of talent, high end talent, still out there on the board. And got to look at a team like the Lions, who just traded um, Jeff Okuda to us, so they might be going cornerback, right? Witherspoon or Gonzalez there. And then you look at the Seattle Seahawks. What would they do, right? Do they go pass rush, or do they go defensive tackle? They could get Jalen Carter, Tyrese Wilson still be out there. And then the Raiders, right? What do the Raiders do, right? Do they get pass rusher? Do they get defense? So, and then that's where the Falcons at. So it's still going to be talent there, and we don't know how the Falcons board is looking right now. It's 13 days away from the draft. More than likely, it's kind of set to where they wanted it. Right? They don't did all their due diligence. If you look at all the 30 visits they gonna had, they gonna had so many guys in. They don't did their due diligence. They probably don't stack their board 2 or 3 times, and they probably went through so many different scenarios like most of us do. We do our mock drafts and try to figure out who's going to go in the top 7. Probably get some different word from where they thinking teams might go. Of course, the Cardinals could definitely throw a wrench in it, right? If they trade out of that 3rd spot, or if they stay in the 3rd spot, because if they stay in the 3rd spot, they're going to probably not taking a quarterback there, so they're going to probably scoop up one of those defensive players that I'm talking about. Then you will think the Colts probably will still take a quarterback at number 4, unless they only want like the 2 that went in 1 and 2. So that's what you got to think about that. Like I said, but we're in a good place, and we really don't which direction. Yeah. See, so this is what Wally's saying here. This is my opinion, right? At this point, guys, I just want to know who they're gonna pick. I don't care who they pick at 8 anymore, because of the moves they made this offseason. So I just think that based off the pick they make, it kind of maps out what they do the rest of the draft, right? That's the way I'm looking at it. So whatever direction they go at number 8, kind of it kind of can map out what they do with the rest of the draft. So if we look at it, from positions, the draft is deep, really deep in pass rushers and cornerbacks. So they don't have to actually pick either one of those positions at number 8, because in the second round they probably still get a good pass rusher or a good cornerback at number 8. I mean at number 44. So that's the way they can look at it. So that's why a lot of people saying that, right? If you don't want to go that route, you can go, go on the offensive side of the ball and get a offensive lineman, or go get a Bijan Robinson, right? Because at number 44, you're going to have value there at a pass rusher, at a cornerback, right? So you have to look at things like that. At this point, I really don't care who they get. Let's suit up and get rocking. I'm anxious to see what Calais Campbell and Yachting. Me too, man. I can't wait. I'm more excited to see the pass rush, because I'm anticipating Armor Katie to actually be a whole lot better this year. I'm anticipating D'Angelo Malone to be better. And then you add in those other guys that they just picked up, and whatever they do in the draft, I can't wait, man. I'm like you. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. With the moves made so far, 8 pick is a value for a team trying to move up. We're in a good place to deal. Yes, let's draft back. Let's pull it back, man. It's crazy because I'm like, we got too many picks, man. We got so many, so many good transactions done. If you look at the Falcons roster, almost full. That's what's crazy. The Falcons roster is almost full, and then the last couple of seasons, right? We was adding like 20 undrafted free agents, after the draft, because we were trying to fill up the roster to get to that 90-man roster. Now we're in a spot where we almost already we really close to that 90-man roster. So after these picks that we take, it's going to be like 4 or 5 undrafted guys. That's why I anticipate some more cuts coming up, for this Falcons team, because I think they're going to like some of these undrafted guys. So some of the guys that's already on the roster, some of those guys that sign future contracts and things like that. So you can anticipate some more cuts probably after the draft. So be looking out for that. But just so many moves. What's the salary at 8 versus getting? Yes, it's a big difference. That's one of the things you can really think about. So, like I said, that's part of the team building, right? We like this guy, but we can get him at 12, right? Vice at 8, it's less money. It's a good point. Good point. 330. Ricondo, that's what I'm thinking with the best player Barry, because Bijan is there after feeling the hold on defense, but we can't be mad with who they take at pick number 8, because it's that's the point at the end of the day, right? Like I said, it's going to be a talented player, guys. I mean, at this point, all the other drafts, like, man, we really need a pass rusher. We really need a pass rusher. We need a defensive guy. We really need a receiver, right? I can honestly say only thing I think that we can really say we need is maybe a left guard, right? So that's why somebody said Skoronski, right? If that's where they want to go, I mean, we really need a left guard. That's the truth. So can't even be mad at that, right? I also think we need a linebacker, another linebacker. I know they talk about bringing Rashawn Evans back. I don't know where they can find the money to bring him back now. So, so the linebacker, I know we have Troy Anderson, we got Michael Walker, we got Nate Lehman. We still brought him back. He's on one of those future contracts I was talking about. Caden Ellis, where he's going to play. I think he play all over the field. If you look at what he did when he's with the Aints, so it's the middle linebacker spot. I think is still an issue, and I think left guard is an issue. Of course, receiver, you add another body at the receiver position, right? But after that, man, I don't know where any hole like it's a glaring hole for this Atlanta Falcons team. So that's the crazy part about it. But I'm sold on Jonathan Mingo though. Yeah, I like him too. I really like Jonathan Mingo. He's one of the guys. Go back and look. I highlighted him um, a couple of days ago. He kind of remind me. Somebody saying kind of yes, remind you of because he's really good run after the catch, body size, and he's like an Arthur Smith kind of receiver as well. So Jonathan Mingo is definitely a guy you can get, and you probably can get him on day 3 um, as well. So it will be a good value pick. Yeah, they you're right. They made 3K. They made they cut Moffat, Quentin Bell, and Money Bledsoe today. Um, so yes, I anticipate more cuts as well, especially after the draft because they're gonna draft their guys. Right now, I think they got 7 draft picks, right? And then they're gonna probably bring in some undrafted guys and the rules for those guys because you can only have 90 men on a roster. So, and if you look at it now, I think they're really close. Not quite. It's been so many deals. I had a number in my head, but they keep adding people like every day, so throws you off a little bit. So, um, and I think was messed up with Dimitrov because he always was drafting need and passing. Yes, yes. I think he really reached a lot on needs, right? I mean, if we go back to I mean, we was talking about Bud Dupree here. We go back to the draft with Vic Beasley got drafted, and a lot of people wanted the Falcons to take Todd Gurley at that spot, and Todd Gurley ended up having degenerate knee, and he had to retire early and things like that. But his first 3 years, he was really, really explosive, right? And he probably would have been a better value pick than a guy like Big Beasley. But at the time, to your point, we're hey, we need to get this pass rush, and then we picked Big Beasley, and Big Beasley had one good season. And if you go look at what he's doing in the XFL, I mean, doing the same thing, getting around the corner, but not getting to the quarterback for the most part. So um, Thomas Dimitrov really, really, really looked like he always drafted for need, vice best player available, and that kind of gets you in trouble. So that's why I love this method about going best player available because what you do, you go get your needs in free agency because in free agency you know what these guys can do. You already seen it. You already seen these guys in action in the pros already, so you know what they're capable of, and you go bring in a guy like a Jesse Bates, right? Like a David Amiyata, um, like a guy like a Calais Campbell, even the guy from today, Bud Dupree. So bring in guys that you've seen them. I mean, Bud Dupree, it's not a real sexy pick. Coming off your year removed from injury, because he did get hurt towards ACL, went to Tennessee, didn't live up to the contract he got at Tennessee. We all can agree to that. But he does have 46 and a half sacks in his 8 seasons. So that says a lot about the potential that Bud Dupree. We don't want Bud Dupree to have 10 sacks. If he have 10 sacks on the cake, we need Bud Dupree to do the same thing he did last year. Give us 4 to 5 sacks. And if everybody on that defense give you 4 to 5 sacks, guess what? That's really, really good success for our team. So that's the way we got to look at it. Um, dude, he couldn't draft O line. He couldn't draft a pass rusher. He was really good though. I mean, but he did draft Chris Lindstrom, so we got to tip our hat off to that. Um, and so if we looking at Thomas Dimitrov, he drafted AJ Terrell, Grady Jarrett, Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom, all those guys still on the squad. So we will give him some kudos for those picks, right? Because those guys and they're pretty good players as well. I mean, look, Chris Lindstrom just signed the largest contract for offensive lineman, right? And then Jake Matthews has been steady, not all rural, but he's steady at left tackle for the most part, right? AJ Terrell probably about to get paid some good money here, and we're definitely picking up his fifth year option on May 1st, by May 1st. And Then Grady Jarrett, right? Already got paid twice. So we're going to give some kudos to Tommy Dimitrov. But he had a lot of misses, right? If you go back to that 2015 um, draft class, I don't think most of those guys not even in the league anymore. This which is really really bad. So um, I think Thomas Dimitrov biggest issue was his pro scouting. He couldn't definitely and that's where I think Terry Fontenot and his staff excels in bringing in the guys that's already in the NFL. Of course, that's what he did. He's with the Aints anyway. He was a pro scout. That's where he excels, man. Because you think about it, the first 2 seasons, bringing in these guys on 1 year deals and how competitive the Atlanta Falcons were. He's just able. They're able to go out and get good, solid pros that's already in NFL, for cheap. And these guys put these guys on prove it deals, and they excel at what they do. So that's really where Thomas Dimitrov, his free agent acquisition is just terrible for the most part. So, but I think that's what Terry excels at, man. But I can't really say that because the draft, he's been doing a great job in the draft as well. So just all the way around so far. Um, only bad signing so far is was Jalen Mayfield, right? And the verdict's still out on him. He may be able to turn it around. Um, Frank Darby, but that's a late round pick. You don't really count that. So Jalen Mayfield right now is really the only blemish so far on the moves far as the roster, in my opinion, that they have made. Yeah, 77 players on the roster. See, 77 players, right? So it's 13. So once they, sign the 7 drafted, that's 84. So you telling me they're gonna only bring in 6 undrafted guys? I I doubt it. I think they would probably see more talent out there than 6 guys. So that's why I anticipate more cuts. That's 77 guys. Think about it. That's crazy. That's insane, man. The Falcons been willing and dealing. They've been the most active team this offseason. And they didn't have the most money. Best player buzzer doesn't mean that the best player for our team, best player is a tough concept if you don't fit the need. Yeah, I mean you're right about that. So you're not just going to go out and get a guy that don't even fit what you do scheme wise, right? So I mean that goes without saying. Um, but like I said, if you just look at most people big boards, and if you look at who potentially could be available um, at number 8 once the draft plays out, I think any of those guys will fit what the Falcons like to do. So that's why I'm saying best player available at 8 because more than likely any of the guys to be there, they'll fit what the Falcons do. Um, and it wouldn't matter about which one it would be. It would just matter who they think is the best out of that group. That's what I would think for the most part. But I guess if you do it for your free agent signings, or yes, yes. I mean that's really what I mean. He pretty much said that. He said that you go out in free agency, you go try to address your needs and things, and then and the draft. And the coolest thing about this draft, especially at number 8, because I think we're just gonna be adding to the depth. That's what I really believe. We're gonna be adding to something instead of Vice actually trying to go for a need. We can just add, man. Just add. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. My pick at number 8, and I know you guys hear me say this. So my pick at number 8, who I would pick, would be Nolan Smith because I'm just intrigued about how they could utilize him. They don't need him at all, right? But um, I just I'm just intrigued how they could use him, right? And like in my like I said again, I look at the blueprint. I look at how the Dallas Cowboys use Michael Parsons, right? Um, if you go look at um, Nolan Smith, the way he tested out, right, it's comparable to what Michael Parsons did, right? So that's just me. That's who I would pick because it's not something that we really need, but it's just, in my opinion, some other side because you can play him off ball and on ball, right? And he could help with the pass rush. So um, that's who I would pick because it's just that's my guy. That's who I would pick. And yes, I'm being a little biased, Homer, because it's a Georgia Bulldog, but at the same time, um, I really believe that he could be special. So that would be my pick. A guy like Nolan Smith. I know some people pick Tyree Wilson. Some people got the cornerbacks. We had somebody on here said I forgot who it was said Skoronsky, right? Because we need that left guard position. So either one of these guys, either position is fine for me. But if I had making decisions, I don't know where Nolan Smith fall on their board, where he's ranked at, but that's who I would pick, and that maybe not be the best player available, but to me, it's a good luxury pick at 8 because of the moves we made. What's up, Ricondo? I would not be surprised if they draft her. See, if I that's who I would pick at instead of Skoronsky, I would go Paris Johnson. That's what I would do at that left guard position. So you know, I don't think you go wrong with either guy. But if I was going offensive lineman, I would probably go lean more to Paris Johnson than Skoronsky. Yep. Yeah. So I mean that's me. I agree. Either one of those guys definitely could be an option. Um, I tell you what, man, the Falcons do pick an offensive lineman. It's gonna be boring. We want some excitement, man. You start because when you look at the draftee that they pick, right? You be like, oh man, how is he going to fit in this Atlanta Falcons team and things like that. But you pick offense lineman, oh, he's just gonna block and help out with the run game, and hopefully you don't get Desmond Ritter killed. That's all you can really think about, right? So, so if they go offensive lineman, I'm cool with it. I'm happy, but it's just boring, right? So go ahead and be boring, Falcons. If you pick, I mean, you excited us all off season anyway with your signings. So if you pick an offensive lineman at number 8, we just have to wait for day 2 and day 3. So I'm cool with that. I'm really cool with it if they go offensive lineman. What's going on, James? So guys, like I said, if you're looking at most of the things that the Falcons have done this off season, um, the question is now like nobody. I don't think any scout out there, any TV talking head, nobody knows what the Falcons are going to do at number 8, right? Unless they got some kind of insider, tip or something like that. Nobody knows, right? Because of the moves they made, I think they put themselves in a position to go in either direction they want to, right? That's where the Falcons have put themselves at this point, in this off season. They have put themselves in a position where they could they could go the out of the box pick like everybody's saying and take Bijan Robinson, right? And nobody could say it's a bad pick because guess what? Bijan Robinson, one of the best football players in the draft, right? Um, they could go Lucas Van Ness, right, with the upside guy that still needs some work because he won't really be needed a whole lot. He gets some playing time, but they could go that route. Um, they could go. They could take my guy Nolan Smith, right? They can take him. They could take one of these cornerbacks, even though um, we got a lot of depth at the cornerback position right now. But you know, Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, they could go that route with either one of those guys, whoever be there at number 8, right? So they could take the big Tyrese Wilson, right? I heard somebody saying Miles Murphy is another guy. I don't like him at number 8, right? But they could take him maybe. I forgot about Jerry Porter Jr. If they think he's the best cornerback, um, Out of the three, they could take him as well. So it's just so many directions the Falcon go in there right there at number 8. And what I said, to start the show was, the draft is not over at number 8, right? We already know that. But I really believe what they do at number 8 kind of dictate what they do for the rest of the draft. So that's one of the things that we really got to consider. Um, yes, they could definitely take O line in the second round, right? So like I said, we don't know. They got so many because it's not like they don't have offensive linemen, right? They got offensive linemen. They got, like I said, Matt Hennessy played the last 2 games. Didn't look bad. He hold his own. Matt Hennessy been in the league. It'd be going on his 4th season, or yes, 4th season here for Matt Hennessy. So he's in a contract year. You know how guys play in contract years, right? They ball out. So Matt Hennessy can come out have one of his best seasons at the left guard position, and that's what they might be anticipating for Matt Hennessy to do. So that's one of the things you can consider. Ricondo Nolan is my pick 2 at 8, but I don't know if they will do that. Yeah, I agree. I like I said, they don't need him, right? But I mean, from what I heard about Nolan Smith, and the reason why um he's my guy, because first of all, just football character. They said he's one of the best leaders. You know, he killed at the interviews and things like that. But he's really a good athlete. He really is a good athlete. Um, like I said, and I think he has so much upside, and I think they could do so much with him. So, and my vision is, I don't even know if they would do this, right? Put him beside Troy Anderson, right? You got a guy, Troy Anderson, who's on a bigger side, played at Mike, right? And run a 4-4. Then you got a guy like Nolan Smith that's running 4-3-9, and they run sideline to sideline, and they blitz up that A gap, right? Destroy quarterbacks. That's just my vision with Nolan Smith. So, um, and then like I said, he has the capability of coming off the edge because that's what he did in college. So that would not be new to him. So I just see they can move him around in different spots, sort of like what they plan on doing with a guy like Caden Ellis as well. So I mean, that's why I would pick a guy like Smith. Um, our organization don't tilt their hand at all. This right here, man. Like that's why nobody has a clue what they're gonna do, right? That's probably why they get so much hate, because nothing leaks, right? Everybody have so many ideas about what the Falcons are gonna do, right? Like like think about how much traction was done with Lamar Jackson, and the Falcons was just never going to get him anyway, right? But I mean, it was like a foregone conclusion when he got franchise tag. The Falcons were going to be the first team to give him a call, but you know they already had decided that Desmond Ritter was that guy, probably right after the season. That's probably, they probably had already had those discussions like, yeah, we're probably gonna roll with Desmond this off season, and but everybody assumed that Lamar Jackson was going to be there because he would have been a perfect fit, and maybe it would have been. But just like we said, if you think about it, Desmond Ritter is probably, we owe Desmond Ritter like $3 million, and guess what? Next year, during the off season, the Falcons can actually go out and spend again. So that's really good stuff, man. So we're going to end on this, and the question is there a wrong answer of what they do at number 8? And I'm going to just say no. I think we can all just sit back and enjoy the draft and see, the chaos at the first 4 picks with the quarterbacks and things like that, and see who the Falcons take, right? And then be like, okay, that's who we got, and then just see what they do the rest of the draft. But I don't think at number 8 this year it should be stressful for us, right? Whoever they get definitely is going to be a good player, be a top 10 pick in the draft. Um, I see no reason why it would be a bad pick at number 8 for us. So it's no wrong answer. People say offense, people say defense. People got their favorites, right? It's so many people's on the Bijan bandwagon right now, especially with the moves they made so far. People like, yeah, let's get him, let's do it, right? Because like I said earlier, if you think about the things they did on defensive side, and then you add a guy like Bijan to the offensive side with a guy like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, um, Jonnu Smith, right? Scotty Miller, like I mean, you just adding all this talent to help Desmond Ritter out. So you couldn't go wrong with a guy like Bijan. It wouldn't be a bad pick, right? And then if they go in the other route, just adding to the depth, right? If they go defense, you add into the depth on defense at this point, because there's not a lot of holes on defense anymore. Um, could add another safety, could add another linebacker, like I mentioned, but it's not a lot of holes. I think they got so many cornerbacks. Probably got like 15 cornerbacks right now on the team. Some of those guys will get cut definitely. So it's just a lot to try to see who's going to make the squad. But and then offense, you forget about a guy like Jared Barnhart, who was the really really good bright spot for us, and in preseason and training camp last year, who actually made the 53-man roster, right? And he had good chemistry with Desmond as well. So I kind of forget about Jared Barnhart already. So those some of the things that to consider. But at the end of the day, there is no wrong answer for this team. Um, do you think is I don't know, man. That's a good question because it was mentioned. I think Orlando Ledbetter said that they were still working on trying to make a deal with Rashawn Evans, but we never heard anything else about it. But man, cap space is getting kind of slim, so I don't know how they're going to make that happen. Kind of, I didn't think we was going to get Lamar. I didn't either, but everybody else did. They were pissed off with that we didn't try, man. They was upset about that, boy. It was crazy. No, there's no wrong answer, no matter who they draft. I would agree. And Bubba said last statement here. Bubba said, as long as it's not a quarterback. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I mentioned it earlier. That's the wrong answer. So it is a wrong answer. Quarterback is not an answer. If they draft, unless it's Bryce Young, I mean, I know a lot of people like CJ Stroud. I don't like CJ Stroud either. I'm just say that, but because I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks because they don't seem to pan out in the pros. Not saying CJ Stroud gonna be that way. It could be anomaly, but most Ohio State quarterbacks don't fare well in the pros. Just they haven't done so far. So, but if it ain't Bryce Young, man, like don't draft a quarterback. So um, that would be a wrong answer if they would to go quarterback, and definitely not Anthony Richardson. He my least guy. I take Hendon Hooker before I take him. So I'm just being honest with you. Like, no, do not draft Anthony Richardson. I don't care what he ran in 40. I don't care how far he can throw the ball. His tape says otherwise, and that's just the truth. Go watch the Vanderbilt game, man. Go watch the Georgia game. He's not. His tape is not good, and he could have upside, definitely, right? But it, I just don't. So that's just my opinion. So, guys, that's all I have. Thank you guys for coming in and talking with me about this number 8th overall pick. Like I said, it's 13 days away. It's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons are going to make any more moves before now and then. Got to go look at the salary cap once the numbers come in for Bud Dupree and see where they're at. Of course, they got to have enough money to sign their draft class. And like I said, be on the lookout for more off cuts, right? Because I'm really believing that Carter the Wallace, they only got 77 players on the roster. They're gonna cut some more guys, right? They signed a lot of guys to futures contracts earlier this offseason, like in January. Some of those guys could be out the door to make room for some of these undrafted guys, and if they decide to bring any more veterans in. So really, really be on the lookout for that. So guys, that's it. Um, be on the lookout. I'm continuing my draft series on guys on day 2 and day 3. We know about all the guys that's going to go on day one. So I'm trying to look at some picks that the Falcons could consider on day 2 and day 3. The next one will be edge rushers that's out there. I think it's a deep class on edge rushers. So we'll take a look at some of the edge rushers that could potentially be out there. Add again to this depth and for this Atlanta Falcons team. So this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.